Life was very difficult after Korean War. I came to the United States 1970. I was a 35-year-old woman. I was here once before 1960 as a foreign student 1 year. And I couldn't stay longer than that because the financial situation didn't work out. And I went back home promising myself that I'll come back and finish my study. But then I happened to marry there and had two kids, 2 boys. My husband was educated many years ago. He also law major in Japan under Japanese occupation. And after Korean War in 60s, men like him, there was no place to find employment, nothing. Worked as a social worker after graduating from the seminary. 10 years marriage life until I came to the United States in 1970. I moved once a year. I moved 10 times in 10 years. Since we didn't have a lump sum money, I had to pay monthly rent, and somehow monthly rent didn't work out, raise rent or some reason. We had to move every year. And I prayed to God, I need to get out of here. I cannot stand this anymore. With 2 kids, sure enough, God listened to my prayer. Opportunity came to come to the United States to do some service and go to school. So I left first. We promised my husband if he has chance to come, he'll come first. If chance come to me, I'll come first. So I left everybody there, husband and 2 kids, and I took off. Came to the United States, hoping to go back to school. Yeah, so 1970, and they joined me in 1971. After graduating from the seminary, I joined CARE Korea, C-A-R-E. That was a USA Social Service Agency. I was hired as a social worker, and I was assigned to develop a rehabilitation program for leper colonies around the Seoul outskirts in countryside. There were 12 leper colonies. I did that, and I had association with the lepers and helping the orphans and widows. We had too many widows from Korean War. So when I came to the United States, I was hired as an assistant social worker for Home for the Aged, and I was a recreation director for the infirmary. And after that, I experienced racial discrimination with the pay. And out of my anger, without saying anything, I quit the job and I went to St. Louis University to get my master's in social work. As a minority, having no citizenship yet, and you complain, and your record follow you all the rest of your life. So without saying anything, I went back to school. And I got master's in social work from St. Louis University in 1977. Ever since, I had a good job in community mental health center as a mental health counselor and social worker. And ever since, I've been in the social work field. Since I brought the BA and BD, Bachelor in Divinity, from Korea and master here. And later, I was ordained. When I worked at the Community Mental Health Center, I met many homeless people there, and that was occasion I was associated with the homeless. When I came here, I had to work with the lepers, but there were no lepers, so that was the population my heart went for. I noticed that we did a good job in doing therapy and all that, but I thought it wasn't as powerful as Christian faith. And I met many people brought into mental world after attempting suicide. And I thought if they had a God in their life, they don't have to kill themselves. So I developed a homeless women church in Seattle and served that 7 years. And then I was so sick with bronchial asthma. In 1996, I thought I was dying, and I wanted to prepare my death. Many times I was preparing for death, and I'm still here. And this time I'm preparing for a real one. So I wanted to retire from that ministry because I was preparing the death. And then General Assembly of Presbyterian Church, out of the blue, offered me a job to do a speaking tour to educate the whole Presbyterian Church on the issue of poverty and homelessness. So I thought, oh my God, I am dying, and maybe this is a second call. How can you say no to God's call? So I say yes. I was determined to die in the plane or in the speaking podium or traveling or whatever. When God takes me, I have to say yes anywhere I was. And it was a 1 or 2 years job, but then lasted 6 years. And I end up forming Presbyterian Network to End Homelessness. I served as interim director for 1 year. And then I was retiring to Seattle. I worked out of Seattle actually because it was traveling work. But then last year, with my 80th birthday money, a lot of friends gave me gift. I said, I don't want any gift or a card or flowers. I am developing Gene Kim Foundation for the homeless education. And they gave me some funds. So I developed a foundation in my name. And as my last project, I am educating homeless people in community colleges or four-year colleges. So in the meantime, after I worked in this field serving the homeless people, I went back to San Francisco Seminary to put all this experience down on paper. And then I wanted to be exposed to good resources. And I was really exposed to good resources, political, economic, and social field area. And I wrote 300 pages of dissertation. And I got DMin at my age 71. I got just diagnosed having pulmonary fibrosis, and that's a hardening of lungs, and I begin to have some breathing problems. So I don't know how long God gave me life, but my paycheck retired in 2000, but then work never retired. I think it will continue to the last moment.
Retirement is overrated.
No retirement. Too many things to do. And I got enough experience and knowledge in theology. You have to continue to, offer something you have. And I don't want to bury all that into grave with me. So here, work goes on and on. My name is Gene Kim. This is my Korean American clergywoman's story.